Welcome back. Now, universities have been facing a challenge where a lot of times universities, when it comes to funding, rely mostly on, if they're government institutions, the government and also the school fees that the students pay. And this has been a great challenge. And tonight we do want to talk about funding models and if there are other ways to outsource funding and how to be a little bit more creative when it comes to diversifying revenue streams. And in studio, I am joined by Professor Washington Okeyo, the Vice Chancellor of Management University of Africa. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's first start by understanding, before we even go through the challenges, let's start by understanding first the funding models of universities in Kenya. How is funding done in our universities?
Thank you very much, Cynthia. Allow me to again say that I'm Professor Washington Okeyo. Yes. I'm the Vice Chancellor of the Management University of Africa, a university which is chartered by the government of Kenya.
Yes.
And has been in existence for over about 14 years now, and offers courses in leadership and management.
Yes.
Going back to your question, Cynthia, true, yes, universities are in the business of providing education services to their students.
Yes.
And for them to do this, obviously, they have to attract students to be able to provide them with the services. And because the services that universities provide to students require funding required to be paid for.
Yes.
Therefore, there must be different funding models that universities use.
Yes.
And one of the major funding sources for the universities is the student income, of course.
Yes.
The student fees,
the tuition
because
fees,
that is really what the business of the universities is all about. So you find that in a big way, more than 75 to 80% of income for most universities is actually from tuition fees of students.
Yes.
Now, and that is where the challenge comes in, because when student numbers are not large enough to be able to generate that amount of income, then that is where the risk is. So therefore, universities have to look for different ways of funding their activities, so that even if the student numbers are low, they still have what we call fixed costs in terms of salaries, in terms of utilities, in terms of other activities which normally don't change with student numbers. So universities are forced to look for different ways of generating that income.
Yes.
Some of the models that a number of universities use, and because universities are in the business of providing knowledge, research is a major area, which also is open to a lot of universities. And universities need to find out how they can attract funding for research activities. And this they can do in a number of ways, one of which is in collaboration with the industry players. They can develop proposals which can attract the interest of the industry players, and then they get the funding from there. The other models would be to engage in other non-academic activities. For example, depending on an area where a university is located in, if it's got enough sort of land, it can engage in agricultural activities, for example. And our university, the Management University of Africa, located in Kajiado County, we have gone into partnership with a number of corporates, for example, Kenya Meat Commission, which we are in partnership with, and they are supporting us with the technical expertise to be able to do feedlot farming, which is cattle fattening. So they give us the technical expertise, and we sell the cattle to them for beef and so on and so forth. And there are several other
So you are sharing options that unfortunately are options that we still don't see a lot of universities using. And we see that in a lot of universities, we still don't have research because of lack of fundings. The school fees alone cannot pay for such projects.
Exactly.
But what makes then, why is school fees the easier option for most universities? Why is that the go-to option?
Yes, and I think that's a very important issue. School fees is definitely the easier option for several reasons. One immediate reason is because universities are in the business of, providing services to learners, teaching learners. So they market themselves as basically learning institutions. Mm-hmm. And for students to be attracted to come to the university, then they must pay for the services. So as long as a student comes to a university or goes to a university, they expect to pay fees. They don't expect to be given free services, basically.
Yes.
And that is why universities find it very easy to rely on student fees. Mm-hmm. The challenge, like I said earlier, is attracting those students,
yes,
and
then
attracting
having the
enough
numbers that can meet the cost.
Exactly, that can meet that cost.
Yes, yes. And just explain to us, because of the experience that you have, how do other universities do it? Because we see universities, say like Harvard, who are very big, for example, when it comes to research. So apart from just educating the students, they have under them a lot of research and have discovered so much, even when it comes to science and IT. What is their funding model?
Yes, and I think it's good that you've mentioned Harvard. Harvard is in the US. Mm-hmm. A number of universities in the US, in the UK, mm-hmm. those developed economies, they are very, very stable.
Yes.
And for a number of reasons. One, that they've been there for a long, long time.
Yes.
And two, some of the policies and laws in those countries actually kind of make it attractive mm-hmm. for investors, for philanthropists to support, those universities. In the US, for example, if an individual, a philanthropist, kind of contributes to charity, to community mm-hmm. initiatives, to university initiatives, that contribution is tax-free.
Yes.
So there's a kind of a benefit, mm-hmm. and therefore there is a reason for somebody to want to invest in that kind of initiative mm-hmm. In universities. Mm-hmm. And Harvard and the likes of those universities in the UK, MIT, and so on, in the US, mm-hmm. They are leveraging that because they are able to attract, philanthropists. They are able to attract investors who know very well that whatever they spend or invest in those universities will not be taxed. Yes. That is the opposite mm-hmm. of this country.
Yes.
We don't have those kind of incentives. We don't have those kind of laws. Mm-hmm. In Kenya, you have to pay tax, whether you have donated to charity, yes. whether you have, a supported university or mm-hmm. an institution, and therefore, out there it is more attractive than it is here.
Yes.
And that is how Harvard and the like,
yes.
kind of specialize in those areas.
Mm-hmm. But are we having that conversation with the government for them to give incentives for even, say, corporates to want to sponsor and to fund? Is that conversation ongoing?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting thing because the models that we have right now and the platforms that we have right now as universities, there are quite a number of initiatives that we are asking the government to kind of start thinking about. Mm-hmm. One of them, obviously, is how the laws can be changed
yes.
to be able to enable investors to invest more in universities in terms of infrastructure development, in terms of student support, and so on. And the government has gone to the extent of creating agencies like, for example, National Research Fund, which is available for students and staff in universities.
Yes.
And anybody who wants to do research,
yes.
To kind of just make a proposal, present to National Research Fund.
But it's still limited.
It is limited.
Yes.
But yes, the conversation is on.
Mm-hmm.
We get together as leaders of universities, And we try to impress upon the government. But obviously, there's the flip side of it, that the government, has already is constrained in terms of its sources of income. The taxes and so on is not collecting enough, because supporting university education is a very, very expensive undertaking.
That's true.
And we can see that in a lot of ways, not enough students are getting, that support that the government ought to give them.
Yes.
And therefore, again, introducing a law which is going to allow tax exemption, and that may even reduce the government's income a lot more. Yeah, but it's something that we're pursuing with the government, and hopefully down the line we shall be able to succeed.
Yes. But what are some of the funding options that Management University of Africa now is looking to take up?
Yeah, that's a good question. We rely, close to 80-something% on student, fees at the moment. Some of the funding options, which we could call additional, diversified funding options. One, apart from the academic option, we also do capacity building training, which is corporate, basically training, short courses, and those are very, very lucrative, very attractive to the corporate players. We also have, like in our campus in Kajiado, I said we're already in partnership with KMC, Kenya Meat Commission, to basically do agricultural activities, which again double up as a demonstration and teaching facilities and farms to our students, in addition to generating income for us. We do crop farming, in our agricultural land in Kajiado. And we also, of course, write proposals for funded research, so that when we get partnerships, for example, we got partnerships with organizations like KEPSA, that is the Kenya Association of Private Sector.
Yes.
They fund, research that we do in the university, and through that we get additional income.
Yes.
We are also in collaboration with other institutions and universities overseas, where we do joint research proposals to development agencies like the EU, Erasmus, and other agencies basically outside this country.
Yes.
And through that, we're able to generate additional income as a university.
Yes. You mentioned research. How can universities monetize research being done by students?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I say interesting for one major reason, that basically, research that is done by universities is more on the academic side.
Yes.
For example, the regulator, the Commission for University Education, in its standards and guidelines, provide that students at master's level must do research methods, and they must do a research paper as part of their examination, to qualify for their degree program. Similarly, at PhD level, PhD students have to do research before they can be awarded a PhD. And those are purely academic.
But a lot of them, as they're doing their research, actually come up with solutions.
Exactly.
Yes.
They all come up with solutions.
Yes.
So it really depends on the area of research that a student has chosen that will make it monetizable or not monetizable. And various ways that can be used to monetize research. Number one, we generate a lot of, like you say, solutions, which are proprietary to the student and the university. We can sell those solutions to the industry in whatever sector. A lot of students do research around the banking sector, the financial institutions, around the manufacturing area, coming up with solutions, proposing different types of products that can be, manufactured different types of services that can be introduced and the improvements and so on.
Yes.
So we can use those to sell to the industry and get money from the university.
Yes, but why is that not happening? Because a lot of times we see stories and university students with actually real solutions, but we never see them eventually, even in the market. And I think a lot of them would even be more excited about their research if they knew that, yes, the university and even themselves would be able to make money out of it.
There are a number of reasons, Cynthia. We talked about the US, Harvard University, for example.
Yes.
In the developed world, and I remember during the COVID-19 period, some of the products that were for prevention of COVID actually came from universities. In the US, the universities that came up with vaccines. Which were effectively used to kind of control COVID-19. That market is a different market from our market.
Yes.
That environment is completely different. We are not as mature as those people are. And in a lot of ways, our industry players here don't rely so much on the products that come out of the university in terms of research. Unless and until, and there are a number of cases, maybe not very many, where universities have partnered with industry players to do research and come up with solutions, which will lead to them introducing products, improvements of what they had before, or improvements of services.
Yes.
So for students sort of research to kind of sell to the industry, there must be some partnership that is created between the university and the industry players.
Yes.
And then a proposal is agreed on that please tailor your research towards a particular area, towards producing a particular service, towards introducing a particular product and so on, then that works.
Yes.
And there are universities that are in that collaboration with industry players.
Yes. Let's talk about the role that employers, potential employers, can play in helping funding various programs in universities.
Yeah, it's interesting. Potential employers should have a lot of interest in the universities, and particularly the graduates that are coming out of the universities, and therefore should participate directly in the process that kind of produces this or prepares these students to come out and for their employment. But the roles that they can play are immense. They can provide support to the students directly, and indeed there are employers that sponsor their staff to come to universities and they pay their fees 100%. There are employers who partner with universities to develop infrastructure, for universities. In our universities, we have some buildings which are actually named after individuals who helped us, develop them. So that kind of partnership also works. Universities have endowment funds, which philanthropists contribute to, businesses contribute to, free of charge. That is another area to make sure that universities are adequately endowed with the funds to support. And those endowment funds are actually used to support needy students. In our university, we have an endowment fund which is contributed to by the philanthropists in the industry, by the businesses and so on and so forth. And we use it whenever we recruit students who are not able to pay their fees and they can prove that they cannot pay their fees, then we give them scholarships, using those endowment funds. And that becomes very, very, supportive, to the needy students.
Yes. Yeah. And how about also innovation centers in universities? Yes.
Universities are, first of all, a university has got three main mandates. Number one, the universities exist to teach students or to teach the learners. Number two, they exist to carry out research. And then number three, they exist to engage in community development. So that the second option is research. And research is aimed at creating new knowledge. new knowledge can be used, in different ways to create innovations, and therefore innovations are very, very important, and innovation centers are very, very important in universities, because that is where universities can guide their students through a systematic process of harnessing the students' ideas and taking them through the process of even modeling by creating prototypes of either products or services before they can end up into a commercialization sort of stage and then be released into the market as innovations. And this has happened. In our university, our students have come up with innovations. In the financial sector, there are financial systems which our students have actually come up with as innovations, which are currently being used. And also in other sectors, even in health sector, we have students who have come up with innovations in those areas.
You've really spoken about research and innovation.
Yes.
So you would say that it is important for universities to even hold what we see, especially in Western universities, with like Innovation Week in their universities. How important is it?
Yes. If you talk about research and innovation, there must be a systematic, there must be a systematic process of ensuring that research is carried out, which may lead to innovation, or other activities that may lead to innovation are undertaken. So that ecosystem is a requirement and is a necessary condition for innovations to take place. And having innovation weeks is one of the ways to ensure that there is there is an environment where students are able to showcase their innovations, showcase whatever they come up with, through that innovation week. And we have that in our university. In fact, in another 2 weeks or so's time, right in the middle of the month of February, which is next month, we are going to have our innovation week, followed by a conference where research output is disseminated.
Yes.
And during that innovation week, basically what happens, our students pitch, their innovations to a panel, panelists who then judge the type of innovations, what they are calling innovations, at what stage they are, and then after the judgment, then we guide them on how to now proceed to the next stage.
Yes.
Some of them are still at idea stage, some of them are at prototyping stage, some of them are at analysis stage, some of them are at maybe commercialization stage. So depending on the stage of innovation at which a student has reached with his idea, we guide them because we have those expertise within the university. And importantly, we also invite industry players, to come and also, judge the kind of innovations that the students are coming up with, so that they can tell if they are relevant to their situations in their industries, in their sectors, and so on. Then they can also guide the students on what to do with them.
Yes.
And we provide support to the student. When we see there's an idea which is viable, we provide support to the student to develop that further, because we have an innovation and incubation center in the university where we have the whole set of systems that we use to aid the students or guide the student to develop his innovation further.
I have to ask, even as we come to the end of the interview, the challenges that you've mentioned when it comes to funding, and I'm wondering, is a university a viable business in Kenya?
That's a very interesting question. Like I said earlier, Cynthia, universities are in the business, let me call it business in quotes, of providing, learning
Education,
services education to their, major clients who are the students. And the art of providing that is really a business in itself. Because what is a business? A business is an entity that provides services, that provides products, to its clients.
Yes.
Basically, that is what a business is.
Yes, I see where you're taking this.
In terms of viability.
That it's more about educating and not so much making money. However, so let me rephrase the question. Is this business really one where you're able to completely meet your costs and perhaps then make profit, which is required for sustainability.
Exactly. and that is why I was defining the business
Yes.
as a service or a product sort of, oriented entity. And a university provides services to its clients who are the students, and they have the products in terms of programs, in terms of, other, knowledge-based, products that it provides to the students.
Yes.
So they must be provided in a cost-effective manner.
Exactly.
So therefore, a university must be a viable business. A university must be able to manage its costs. It must be able to generate or develop strategies which can enable it to sustainably provide the services to its clients, which are the students. It must make sure that it is actually making profit or surplus at the bottom line, because it has got the costs that it has got to meet. It has got lecturers to pay, it has got staff to pay, it has got students to take out and in sort of tours and so on and so forth. So a university must operate as a viable business.
Yes.
So and the extent to which it is viable, that varies on the management style. It varies on the type of university, and we have private and public universities.
Yes.
We know very well that public universities are funded from the exchequer, from the government.
Yes.
They have capitation.
Yes.
So the extent to which they prudently manage the funding that they're given by the government vis-a-vis the services that they need to provide will either make them viable businesses or not. But private businesses, private universities rather, have to manage,
and
themselves
find innovative ways.
in very, very innovative ways,
Yes.
because they don't have anybody to provide them with capitation.
Yes.
Whatever they get, is directly from their sweat.
Yes,
and
and we are grateful. We are grateful that you
Yes.
have shared with us some of the different revenue streams that you have come with. I'm still not yet convinced if that's a business that I would get into, but thank you so much, Professor Washington Okeyo, for joining us tonight.
Now,
we were talking about universities and some of the challenges that they face when it comes to funding, and we have found out a little bit about the funding methods and extra revenue streams from Management University of Africa.